What is up, everybody? Welcome to the NFL Cash Game Show. Obviously, it's week 15, so cash games can get crazy when it comes to end of the season. Last week we had the crazy cash chalk, and this week it's a different kind of week. It's not similar to last week where we had just like obvious running back plays that you had values and then you could spend wherever you want. So we'll talk about it. We will break it all down. I'll bring in Bryce. Bryce, how was last week, and are you looking forward to this week?
Last week was good for me on FanDuel. DraftKings, I kind of chose wrong, so I was playing from behind all day.
I did the same. We were both playing from behind, but different combinations.
Yeah, FanDuel, I had Josh Allen, so that kind of worked out. It seems like kind of similar week for me this week in QB, except you have a little bit better value on FanDuel. There's not like an obvious quarterback this week.
Yeah, I didn't love the structure of last week. This week we'll see. This week is a classic week, at least on DraftKings. It seems like where I don't know, you feel like you're getting like pushed in a certain direction, and hopefully it's not too chalky. Where it's just like we're playing plays that we don't want to play, and it's weird. But we'll have to see how it kind of pans out. We'll hit the quarterback position to kick it off, and also worth mentioning on this slate, we have one really big game, right? That's Lions and Bills. That's the game that like everyone is going to like, hey, they want to play. I don't know if they're able to play it, but they want to play it because it's the highest total. Obviously, guys will be priced up. Josh Allen, we saw him. I mean, I think it was a record-breaking fantasy performance from him last week. I think he beat Michael Vick's record, whatever it was from whatever time, but he had an insane score of 55. So, overall, I'm down to get Josh Allen again if I can, right? But I don't know if I'm able to. We do have Kyler Murray in a pretty interesting spot. Justin Herbert, I know he's dealing with the questionable tag. He gets a great matchup against the Bucs. Bo Nix, 6.3K. He has really started to shine. He gets a matchup against the Colts. That's obviously another option that we can kind of explore, and I think is a really good play. CJ Stroud against Miami. I mean, I know CJ Stroud has had his struggles, but that has the makings for a shootout. It's in a dome. You can make a case for two, I guess. So, Bryce, there's a lot of ways to go. I don't know if you're kind of getting pushed in one direction right now, but it feels like a spot where we're going to kind of land in this mid-tierish range with a ton of options. If you put a gun to my head, if Justin Herbert's healthy, I like him a lot, but I think Bo Nix is great too. Those are kind of my two leans at the moment. How about you?
Yeah, I like those plays. Another play I kind of like is Kyler. Overlooked him a bit last week. I think on FanDuel, obviously you have more money there. You can get up to Josh Allen. I think CJ Stroud's going to be kind of chalky there at almost 7K. So I think that's pretty cheap for him. I like the Bo Nix play. If you need to go cheap, I'd probably prefer Will Levis to Jake Haener. I'm not going to play him. Even at 4K, I really wouldn't want to play him. It just seems like kind of a tricky week at quarterback for me. It's going to depend on what I do with the rest of my build, but you're likely landing somewhere in this mid 5 to low 6 range.
Yeah, and honestly, there's a ton of options, right? Which I kind of like. I know you and I are definitely guys that like to swap a little bit. You do have the swapping optionality, right, of Herbert to Nix later on as well. You have Kyler in the later game. So that's a really interesting dynamic to the slate as well if you do want to land on those quarterbacks. So quarterback's kind of intriguing this week. If you had to pick, do you have a favorite right now, gun to your head? Do you have one that you'd like the most?
Gun to my head?
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to get Josh Allen where I can. I kind of think Kyler on DraftKings and Allen on FanDuel would be my optimal, but I'm fine dropping to CJ Stroud on FanDuel. I'm fine dropping, as far as Will Levis on DraftKings.
Yeah, I think projections are going to push the Kyler thing, but I'm willing to look at the other routes. I think the Herbert, and I know they're more expensive, but I don't know. I'm willing to kind of make the gamble. Gun to my head, I think it's Bo Nix, as crazy as that sounds. I just like attacking that Indianapolis defense, but I do want to know Herbert's injury status a little bit. I think that'll help influence some of my decision-making. Let's get to the running back position. And unfortunate, Jonathan Brooks dealing with injuries. We're now Chuba Hubbard. Great matchup against Dallas. He's clearly a good play. We talked about Kyler Murray. I mean, there's routes where I think teams will have Kyler and James Conner, and you just gather all the touchdowns in a dome against New England. It's not the worst idea, but it's not like my favorite thing in the world to grab the quarterback and running back from the same team. But I think that is a route this week. You can pay up for Derrick Henry. The big dog against the Giants just screams like an easy spot. Chase Brown has been a monster, 7.2K. You know, he was underpriced at 6.2. I think he's kind of priced appropriately here, but he's still a good play. Rico Dowdle, another guy to talk about. I mean, yeah, we haven't loved this Dallas offense, but Rico Dowdle has really kind of come on over the past couple of weeks, and he gets the dream matchup, right? Carolina has been playing a ton of competitive games. Their defense is not that great. Bryce Young is able to push the games enough where, hey, I think Rico Dowdle's another good running back option. Joe Mixon at 7.8K. As a spend, I don't think he is the worst option on the slate. So I think Tank Bigsby's going to get some ownership as a cheapie, but I do think we're going to live in this 6K range the most when it comes to our running backs. Obviously, if news hits, that could change some stuff, but that's kind of my lean where like you have to spend money at your running back. You don't have all these just infinite values to get to. You're going to have to be in that 6 to 7K range. Is that how you're seeing it, Bryce?
Yeah, I think the one cheap guy that would really emerge for me would be Rashad White. If Bucky Irving does sit here, you know, he'd probably cede some work to Sean Tucker, but you know, 5.8K in this offense, pretty not the best matchup at the Los Angeles Chargers, but I think that's fine for 5.8K. Hubbard's likely to be the chalk on both sides this week. I think, you know, he's just too cheap, getting a lot of work, and you know, when's the last time the Panthers were favored in the game? You know, he's done all this work kind of playing from behind, and you know, Dallas's rush defense is pretty much as bad as the Panthers in terms of like guys you want to target. So I get the argument for him at Dowdle. I would prefer Chuba Hubbard to Dowdle. He just does a little more in the pass game, and I think his touchdown equity is slightly higher than Dowdle's. Like Dowdle will cede some carries to, I mean, not many, but like Zeke got a carry inside the 5 last week, like stuff like that. I think his goal line works a little more secure than Dowdle's. If you're spending, I agree Derrick Henry is the best option. I prefer him to Saquon, match up against the Giants, whose defense has not been that bad. But, you know, especially on FanDuel where you're going to have excess funds, I think that Henry is a pretty solid option this week. Chase Brown, he's really stepped into the running back one role there, and you know the Bengals need to win, so you know I don't see them leaning off him at all in this spot. Kind of a smaller running back pool for me this week. Kind of like those like 5 guys, but yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot else on the board here. I always like Kamara, but you know 7.7 is a little harder to spend, and you know they continue to troll him in the red zone. It's pretty absurd at this point, but you know I think that's, I know it's the cash show. I think he's a pretty solid tournament option. Like everyone's been on him the last couple of weeks. Now everyone's gonna be off. You know, it just seems like a classic Kamara like at home spot.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously they are using like they used Kendra Miller finally, right? That was an interesting aspect, and that's been definitely frustrating. I'm excited to not have an Alvin Kamara week. I'll say that. So that's kind of exciting in cash games this week. And again, we might get more news that breaks. We might shift some of our decisions. Again, running back was super clear last week. We knew that. This week a little bit different. Again, those 6K guys, you're gonna have to make some decisions between them. Let's get the receiver position and like.
Something to note. Charbonnet is included on the FanDuel slate. Yes. I think he's close to a lock there. He's just way too cheap. Kenneth Walker's listed as doubtful again. I don't really see any way of fading him on FanDuel.
Yeah, do you have Jacob's price in front of you? What is his price over there? Because he's like, I mean, he's definitely not like one guy to completely ignore if they still have him priced in the 7K range.
Jacobs is 8.2. Like I have him as like a good, not like amazing play.
Yeah, that is fair. But to counter, like I don't know if like swapping is going to be a thing there. Like I doubt it because you'll only have Charbonnet, and like what are you able to swap to, right? Like he'd probably be in the flex. And you have to go like Romeo Dobbs or something stupid. So that's a whole other thing. Let's get the receiver. And I mean, Malik Neighbors being the chalk, like I get it at 6.4. Like I get it. Like if you just tell me Malik Neighbors is 6.4K, like that is too cheap. I get it. I don't know if I want to click that button just because of the injury and everything. They were shady with him last week, but he played, so that was kind of good. Cortland Sutton has just been a monster all season long. It's a great matchup, 6.6K. Someone else definitely to look at. You can't argue with Jamar Chase this season if you're spending up at receiver. Yeah, Jamar Chase is definitely in the conversation if we have the value. Also, we got questionable tags on the slate of guys to watch. That could change some of our decision-making. Other good matchups and mid-tier guys because, hey, it's been a mid-tier kind of season when it comes to the receiver spot. Adam Thielen at 5'4", definitely is someone that I think pops a little bit in that Dallas matchup that we should like. Brian Thomas Jr., it feels like he pops every week. Good price at 5.8. I don't hate it against the Jets. Matchup is pretty good. Marvin Harrison have the mighty have fallen. He's 5.5K, which seems crazy. He's another guy in the mid tier you can definitely make a case for. I know Ladd McConkey in a matchup against Tampa Bay, if he is healthy and good to go, hard to argue with that. And then another guy that might pop in projections, we'll see, but like Michael Pittman's 5'2". It's like you're just the bait is dangling there, right? I don't know if I'll do it, but I think there's other ways I would rather go. It seems like a week where we are going to live in that mid-tier more. If we don't live in the mid-tier, I'll go grab Jamar Chase and then go grab a value with him instead and then just play one mid-tier receiver. Bryce, how are you seeing the receiver position shake up this week?
Kind of Jamar Chase and then everyone else for me. They're just really leaning on him right now with needing to win games. And, he's having an insane season. So, I think he's the pretty clear spend-up option. I wouldn't really consider anyone else up top. Amon-Ra, 7.6 would be like the closest. It gets you exposure to that Bills game that we all want to, but it's a little hard to like play him and Chase together. I think it's kind of bad to play him over Chase here. So I kind of think it's Chase and then like cheap guys or just cheap guys. Starting with these mid-range plays that you really highlighted, I'm likely to go down from Ladd McConkey to someone like a Brian Thomas Jr., Calvin Ridley, Adam Thielen, Marvin Harrison Jr. are all kind of guys that pop for me here. They're just too cheap here. I think all these guys are like 6K players in the long range. It's just kind of like who you like this week compared to others. Malik Neighbors injuries kind of tough for me here. He's a super diva from everything I read about, but the guy's insane in football. So that's a little more risk reward than I'd probably want to take on right now. I think Elijah Moore is worth a shout on FanDuel. He's only 4.7K there, which doesn't really make any sense to me, but you also don't really need the money this week. So yeah, he's definitely not like a 4.7K receiver in my mind. Kind of lets you go like complete stars and scrubs there if that's something that you want to do and get off this mid tier a bit. There are expensive guys you want to pay for, so I get that. But I'd probably say my favorite play here is Adam Thielen at 5'4", and I'd be totally fine playing him and Chuba together in cash.
Yeah, you can definitely play those two together if you would like. I know Jerry Jeudy.
I don't really see any punts on DraftKings.
Yeah, Valet at 4.2, he's not a punt, right? But like Valet's not bad at that price. You can make a case for Butte, right? Or like maybe Douglas. Another guy, Diami Brown with Noah Brown being out now, maybe. But like
I was looking at Diami if you had to like full punt it, but like that's not really a route I really want to go right now.
Correct. Like if you're doing that, you're basically saying like, hey, I'm going to take Chase and Brown. That adds up to like 11 or 12K. I'm doing rough math. And then like you're doing that instead of going like Sutton and Thielen, right? And like that's a decision that, you have to make of, do I like that one or do I want Jamar Chase to hopefully carry Diami Brown?
I think Sutton and Thielen's better personally.
Agreed.
But which is kind of why I didn't even bring it up. But, if we get into those builds where you kind of need one this week, right now it would be Brown for me.
Yeah. And also like other things could open up. That's why we like try to talk about like, hey, like this is,
it's Friday. We're doing this Friday evening. Like it, especially late in the season, it's kind of hard to shake these slates out until the weekend.
Yeah, that's why you sign up, get in the Discord, DM us, hit us up in the Discord, use the code RPS15, 15% off. You're probably already a sub though, because we're at week 15 grinding the cash game. So actually, I talked with Mark about this when he was making fun of us doing a cash show, and he said like the 5 people watching will appreciate it. And I said, Mark, you are right. The 5 people watching will actually appreciate it. Like I know the cash game grinders appreciate it. So yeah, but he was joking about that. And if you don't know Mark, it's JBC. So he was making fun of us cash game losers. But all right, let's get to tight end. Tight end there's value this week. Now, what do we want to do with the value? That is the real question. I think Strange, obviously at 2.5K, he's definitely a play you have to look at and consider. Will Disley, it looks like he could be missing, and if he does, Stone Smart at 2.6K definitely pops as kind of an intriguing play too. So like the punt tight end, we haven't seen it, it feels like in a bit, but that is totally in play this week. Other guys that I think are in play, I think Jake Ferguson, 3.8 feels cheap against Carolina. Again, great Carolina matchup. Dalton Schultz at 3.3, that kind of feels cheap in that spot. Hunter Henry, 4.3. I don't hate it if I land there, right? It would kind of be more my construction. I do think I am going to typically lean this week on the punting tight end spot. If you do want to spend up, there are spend up options that you can go to. You kind of just take your pick. I know Trey McBride is questionable. He'll probably project as a really good play that you could obviously pair up with Kyler if you want to. It does feel like a punt tight end week, Bryce, but like we don't know where that punt is yet, and it might be a decision between one or two. But I need more information injury-wise to kind of figure that out. What about you?
Right now, like given everything that we've like encompassed so far, I think it's punt tight end, but that can change. Like say we get some cheap running backs. That kind of changes everything. Like last week, we had money to spend at tight end, so everyone had Bowers or McBride, mainly Bowers, and you saw how that worked out. I don't ever really prioritize tight end, so I think there's 3 punt options this week. It's Strange, Smart, and Jordan Atkins without Njoku. So yeah. Right now, I'd rank it Strange, Smart, then Atkins. Cleveland said they were going to rotate. Don't love the matchup against Kansas City. Sorry, went on mute there. Strange against the Jets is pretty solid here for 2.5. Stone Smart at 2.6 is okay, and I mean, I'm on any given week, these guys would all like rate out highly as punt tight ends. So. Yeah, you have 3 pretty solid ones to choose from, in my opinion. If you don't punt the position, I think you spend on McBride. It seems pretty binary to me. Your mid-range options would be what? Like Zach Ertz, Jake Ferguson, and Dalton Schultz. So, yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward this week. Note on FanDuel, Hunter Henry is pretty cheap on FanDuel, and you typically don't have to like full punt the position. So, yeah.
Yeah. Another thing to call out, Ladd McConkey just got ruled questionable on a Friday, which like, hey, like that, if Ladd McConkey's out and Disley, like that is huge for Stone Smart, right? Like it's just other opportunities, and it's going to open up Palmer and Quentin Johnson. So that's just more stuff to kind of wait and watch for. Defense, we are at that time of year where defense is you do have to think a little bit more about defense because there are some bad quarterbacks out there kind of playing football, and that matters. Like, for instance, like, listen, if I had the salary to play the Ravens at 3.9 going against Tommy DeVito, yeah, like I'm interested. Like, they're clearly a good projected play. Broncos against Anthony Richardson seems like a pretty good one that you can get exposure to. Don't mind that. The Chargers, I know they're not a terrible mid-tier option that we can get to. The Panthers against Cooper Rush, I think people will definitely look to play the Panthers. It's crazy. If I told you like in like week 3, at week 15, we were playing like maybe 3 Panthers in cash, the defense, Thielen, and Chuba Hubbard, you would probably tell me I was an idiot, but here we are. So I think there's a lot of different routes you can go. I'm not prioritizing spending up or spending down. I'm just going to kind of wait to see how the rest of my lineup shakes out. How about you, Bryce?
Yeah, I mean, defense is tough as ever. There's not like a lock defense this week. I'd play the Ravens if you could. 3.9 against DeVito. They're expensive, but it is what it is. Mid-tier, I kind of like that Broncos call. But, I mean, I'd be fine with – I think the Cardinals are fine. I think the Panthers are fine. Honestly, I think the Cowboys defense is fine. You
even against, they're playing Bryce Young. I'd probably just take the home favorite for $100 less. I don't know if I'd really want to go below that. Like, I think you're kind of giving up more defense than most weeks, like just not spending a couple $100 to get something. But I think my favorite like punt option would be the Titans.
All right, that's it. That's basically the cash breakdown. Again, we'll have more updates. We're waiting on Kenneth Walker. It looks like he is doubtful, so that's probably a big piece of news for the FanDuel slate. But there's more news that'll break that'll probably change some of our opinions. We'll update it in the Discord. We'll update it on the content over at Run Pure. Again, you can use that code RPS15, get you 15% off. Also, go subscribe to the channel, hit the like. We appreciate it. Check out all the content that we have over here. It's a busy time. We got bowl season coming up, which, Bryce, I'm sure are you excited for bowl season?
Love bowl season.
Yeah, bowl season is going to be good. The playoffs going to be super fun. I'm excited about that. So, hey, tons of content. If you're a sports guy, I always like to say Run Pure is the place for you. So, thanks a lot for joining us here on the Cash Game Show. For me, Mangone and Bryce, we will see you guys later.